At this time, would like to yield 5 minutes to Senator Portman.
Great. Thank you, Chairman Arrington and Ranking Member Boyle. Thanks for your thoughtful comments, both of you. And Chairman, you laid out the challenge very well, off the cuff. I appreciate your knowledge and commitment to this. Also appreciate you inviting Senator Conrad and me here. The last time I was in a hearing room with him, he was chairing it on Senate Budget Committee, and I was on this side of the table, and he was tough. So I'm really glad to have him on this side of the table today. As you noted, I spent a lot of part of my career working on these budget issues. I was a member of the Ways and Means Committee, but also a member of this committee, the Budget Committee, and the Budget Committee on the Senate side, and the Finance Committee, Joint Economic Committee. And yes, I was a member of the so-called super committee. It wasn't so super being on that committee, but we tried. But in these roles, I've had an opportunity to see something, and that is the flaws of the current budget and appropriations process, and the rules by which we live, which both of you talked about, and the inability for Congress to address the impending fiscal crisis. Between my service between the House and Senate, I did serve as Director of the Office of Management and Budget, where I got to see the same thing on the administration side. I mean, there are a lot of tough issues there as well, and an inability to address the fiscal crisis from an executive branch perspective. Why? These are tough issues, a lot of political landmines. And my experience has led me to the conclusion that it's time to try something different. Time to try something that gives Congress and the American people a better tool to be able to, one, understand what's going on and have some trust in that, but also provide a balanced, bipartisan way forward. That's why I believe a commission with membership from members of Congress as well as outside experts is necessary and timely right now. I want to commend the members of this committee. I've looked at all your backgrounds. All of you have tackled this issue in one way or another. Everybody, it seems, on this committee just about has offered legislation with creative solutions to the crisis. Ranking member talked about some, as did the chairman. And a number of you on a bipartisan basis introduced legislation establishing a fiscal commission. Chairman Arrington included a fiscal commission in his recent budget resolution, which I appreciated. But Representatives Uzenga and Peters co-chair the Bipartisan Fiscal Forum and have introduced the Fiscal Commission Act, which was included in Speaker McCarthy's most recent continuing resolution. Didn't pass, but it got a vote. That FCA is also co-sponsored by Representatives Moore and Panetta. And I apologize if I've missed others in the committee who have also been similarly engaged. But this morning, we're going to hear from your former chair, Chairman Womack, who's going to have his own commission proposal. So I'm encouraged by all that, and I want to thank the members of this committee for taking a lead on that. You're well aware of the economic challenges and fiscal challenges that we face. I won't go into detail, but $33 trillion begins to add up to a huge issue, a tremendous and immoral burden on future generations. It does diminish our standing in the world. I've certainly seen that as I've traveled and talked to people. And of course, it negatively impacts our economy. It's no coincidence that we have had this debt and deficit grow and grow and then be followed by a period of high inflation. We can talk about that later, but there's no question that that affects particularly long-term rates, and our constituents are all suffering from that right now. A properly structured bipartisan fiscal commission can build trust, expand knowledge, and yes, provide a little political cover to members of Congress who want to do the right thing. This is going to require establishing a fiscal metric, which won't be easy. You know, what's our goal? It's also going to require making some tough choices, including conducting a top-to-bottom review of all federal government spending, asking hard questions about the federal role, rooting out parochial spending that doesn't help the national interest, finding new revenue in a way that minimizes economic growth and opportunity impacts, reform, of course, of the critically important but currently unsustainable entitlement programs, as was talked about. And Chairman, you had it just right. We've got to save these programs, in essence. If we don't, as the ranking member said, Social Security benefits are going to be cut substantially as soon as 2033 or 2034. And of course, in general, entitlements will bankrupt the country. We all know that. In terms of budget reform, I think it'd be great if the commission also took a crack at that. And I think all of you would agree that's needed. This is all necessary, but I think the first step of any commission is to really just tell the American people the truth about what's going on. They know that something's not right. They know the current trajectory is unsustainable, but they're looking for an honest assessment and an honest dialogue about the way forward, not a partisan one, but one that is right down the middle. I think that is maybe the most important part of the commission. There are a lot of valid structures for a commission. Some of you, again, have your own proposals, and I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but I do think having members of Congress and some external folks involved who are real experts is important. I think to reduce some of the politics, the commission should report during the likely lame duck session of Congress after the 2024 elections. That's assuming this commission can get up and going soon, because I think it's going to take that much time to do it right. The question was, what's worked and what hasn't worked. I think the law establishing the commission should create fast-track consideration culminating with a vote without amendment for a solution approved by a qualified majority, whatever that is, of the membership. I think that's the important thing of doing a statutory commission as opposed to others that have been tried, like Simpson-Bowles. What's worked, what hasn't worked? BRAC has worked. This base realignment and closure process. There have been 5 BRAC rounds, as some of you know. Estimated each round created an average of $12 billion in savings. That was tough going, but it did work in that sense. Another model would be the 81 Greenspan Commission. It was a bipartisan group of experts and members of Congress, respected members of Congress, saved the federal government over $165 billion in the first 7 years, extended the life of Social Security by 30 years. That's not bad. They said it was going to extend it for longer than that, but 30 years is not bad. On Simpson-Bowles, we just mentioned that. Their comprehensive package of reforms, as you know, was not passed in the Congress, but it was a success in a way because many of its proposals did become law. The Center for a Responsible Federal Budget has estimated that by 2015, Congress had enacted around 60% of those reductions in spending, those reforms that were proposed. So it did make a difference, and Senator Conrad can talk more about that. But we can learn from its failures, too, what didn't work. It was established by executive order and without congressional approval, so there was no forcing mechanism to ensure a vote would occur. Also, the commission said you had to get 15 of 18 members to agree. That was the majority. That's just too high, and it turned out to be a standard that was too hard to meet. So look, when Americans take a look at us today here in Congress and Washington, they often despair, as what they see is deep divisions. And I wish more could tune into events like this today, where I think you're seeing between Republicans and Democrats the ability to look toward the future together, to collaborate in search of a solution that's best for the country. So thanks to the committee members for your willingness to take on the fiscal challenge and to look at new approaches, including a bipartisan fiscal commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.